Test, test. Is this thing on? Oh, welcome to DeFi, Crypto, and Airdrops. We are live from the Crypto Cabin. It's tripping me out with that. We appreciate everyone for joining us today, where me and Mike go live every Tuesday and Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you are on Twitter, please jump over to YouTube, follow us in the chat, and we can answer your questions and you can join all the fun. Um, Mike also goes live throughout the week. If you are not familiar with our channel, we have heavy DeFi and airdrop stuff throughout the week. Mike has money talks on Mondays, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. He also does a DeFi master class with David and Jake from Metrics Finance and DeFi University on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. And interviews coming on Thursdays with very interesting people with talking about life and all kinds of other stuff. So check those out. Also, check out Jake Call's Metrics Finance, a great DeFi portfolio tracker and simulator. The pricing did end for this special, this yearly special. So it is back up to $1,000, but start for free and see if it has any value for you. There's also a monthly subscription if you just want to test out the waters with some extra features. Also, David's DeFi University, it is 97 a month, but they do have mastermind or mentorship groups Monday through Friday, daily live mentorships, and a whole mastery course, beginner to advanced. So a lot and one-on-one coaching. So if you want to take advantage of that, please do so. And also Mike's DeFi Wise newsletter. Been doing great stuff with that. A lot of people have been finding great value. So check that out. It is 1995,
Yeah, 1995.
just a shade under $20 a month. So a lot of people have been getting great value out of it. They've been hitting the ranges almost on the dot. So great addition to your trading and investing. And it saves a lot of time too from you having to go and search out all this information. So he puts in a lot of hard work, gets up early. So check that out. And anything to support the channel, we truly appreciate it. And you can catch our socials here at DeFi Crypto and Airdrops, the_only_DCA. You can catch Mike at Veteran4Crypto, me at the BCR142, and our Pump.Fun stream as well. We are streaming on the arena now. We're getting that set up. And also our free Discord, a lot of great alpha. And I built a snowman, so our official DCA snowman. So great community that we're building out. Awesome people. So we appreciate everyone in there sharing some alpha. And yeah, just jump over here on the YouTube if you're on Twitter, join the chat, get in all the fun, and get ready to lock and
Yeah,
load.
no, I'm definitely ready. So yeah, it's basically tonight is going to be our kind of our new format as far as our Friday show. We're just poured ourselves a little drinky drink. We're gonna just kind of sit back for the next hour. We're gonna talk about the crypto markets, what's been going on this week, just kind of life in general. Just this is a total just relax and kind of decompress and unwind. Don't we'll be sharing. There's been a lot of information, kind of been being tossed around when it comes to Plume. So we're going to cover, both bearish and
Mhm.
bullish takes on Plume. We want to make sure that even though we are invested and we're bullish on it, we need to make sure that we're being objective, and that we're being critical of our own investments because we don't want to, get ourselves in an echo chamber and just be permabulls. We need to make sure that we're, kind of our own worst enemy, our own worst critics when it comes to the projects we invest in. So anyway, shout out to Crypto Stevo. He actually what brought some information to the community's attention that
Mhm.
again, it's a lot of people got upset about it, because talking FUD, that kind of stuff. We don't do that here. In our community, we welcome all alpha, all information. Again, if there's something going on that's negative, I want to know about it. and I can dig deeper into it and find out, okay, is this legitimate? Is this just, fabricated? What's going on with it? Or is it totally founded and I need to, reassess how deeply I'm invested in this project, if at all. So with that, how you doing, Jeff? I know, you a little bit of an adventure getting up here to the cabin, and today we just been kind of chilling. You got here yesterday.
Hmm.
Today it's been snowing pretty good. We drove into town to get some snacks and some drinks and stuff like that. And yeah, we were a couple times we were sliding pretty good.
Slip and
Yeah,
slide.
different hills and stuff like that. But yeah, how you been liking it up here so far?
Oh man, it's been wonderful. It's nice to see the actual winter season in full effect and getting some snow. I mean, I we didn't get much. We got snow like once a year when I lived in Carolina, and actually being it's been like 4 years since I went to Tahoe and saw snow. So it's been nice. It's been real nice. Get out of the Bay Area, surrounded by all the people, and just kind of chill and relax and finally get up here and get to experience the cabin
Oh yeah.
life and and building the snowman. It was fun to get out there and um, but yeah, tomorrow's gonna be fun. Got a lot lined up, but doing some more wandering out in the forest here. But I mean, there's like nobody around, so it's really awesome, really awesome.
No, there's we got one neighbor, and
Yeah.
he's a buddy of mine, him and his wife. So yeah, it's pretty chill up here for sure. But yeah, while Jeff was building the snowman, I was on the four-wheeler with the snow plow, plowing the driveway to make sure we don't get stuck in here. All right, black ice. How Mike, how well did you convince Jeff to move up there? I hear you may build a guest cabin. Oh yeah. So that's what I'm planning is, I actually have, old classic, Airstream that I've been restoring. It's you can kinda see it in, one of my pictures I've shared of the cabin. But, I've been slowly, polishing the outside of it. I gutted the inside and, putting a bed in there and a kitchen and all that kinda stuff. So, I'm doing that, and then I'm also thinking about for about 25 grand, I can get a A-frame, cabin kit that's already pre-cut and, everything's already done. I just got to assemble it. And so, I mean, I could do that in a weekend. And so, yeah, I'm thinking about doing that as well. So, yeah, no, fucking short story long, absolutely. I'm thinking about doing a guest cabin and stuff like that. And, if the channel keeps doing well and we keep growing like we are, and basically, Jeff works kind of remotely, from his,
Hmm.
from home. So, yeah, if we start making money with the channel, we can, have him to where he has his own little place up here and he can, come up here and chill. And when he wants to, get back to civilization, he can just bounce back and forth and we can have the
Yeah, and seeing those custom kits that you found, I mean, you could put a couple of those up here and have a couple little guest cabins, and I mean that would be beautiful.
Black Guy says, he actually has 4 of them and that they hold up really well. So, yeah, maybe hit me up and let me know, kind of, what company you got yours from. Because yeah, I definitely wouldn't mind checking them out. We got the only problem with Arena is it's only showing me. It doesn't look like there's a way. I'll have to dig into it,
Huh.
see if there's a way to stream it from, EV Mux so that it can show you as well. So basically, people are just staring at me, look.
Oh, that's like the problem you had with Pumped Out Fun, huh?
Pumped Out Fun actually shows both of us, but when I just tried to go live on it, it gave me an error right now, and so we're not streaming on Pumped
Mm,
Out Fun tonight. But yeah, it'd be nice to
interesting.
be able to stream you as well. So let's go ahead and jump into this real quick. So let's get the nitty gritty out of the way. Let me share my screen. Let's do this. So
Oh, what up, Nick Dunn? Welcome to the Friday show.
let's see.
Grab it.
All right. So let's go over what I got here. So this is one of the things, and Jeff, definitely feel free to give your input on this. So this is some of the data that Crypto Stevo. Let's start out with the negative. This is some of the data that Crypto Stevo, kind of tried to bring to our attention. Again, some people got kind of upset about it, but I told the community, hey, pump the brakes. We need to welcome all points of view here. We want to make sure that we're not discouraging people from giving us good alpha that might save us money. So let's take a look. Basically, what he was saying about this is that there's only 2 devs left. So basically what this chart is how many core developers there are working for the project. And you can see, back in the 2015, 2016, 2017, they were starting to build the amount that they had, and it kind of peaked out around 52 devs. Dropped off and then slowly built up to the mainnet launch. But pretty much since before the mainnet launch, so February of 2024, last year. So mainnet launch was June of this year, right, Jeff?
Yeah, yeah, it was over the
Yeah.
summer.
So I mean, let's go over to June of 2025, April, May, June. So here in June, there was only 7 devs when mainnet went live. So, according to this, and it's something that's important to understand about this. Let's go over here. It's the same chart, but there's this caveat up here at the top. Core developers measures the number of unique GitHub contributors who made at least one commit to the project's public repositories over the past 30 days. For fully open source projects, it reflects the size of the project's active engineering base. There is a lot of things that could affect this, and Jeff kind of brought one up to me. Uh, Basically, it could be where there's only 2 developers that are, basically screening the submits, and so there's only 2, like, lead developers that are, actually submitting the commits, but there might be more, developers in the background doing the work. There is over 230 different projects that are either live or building on Plume mainnet, and they could have their own devs that are submitting to those 2 devs that are actually submitting them. So there's a lot of layers and nuances to potentially the value of this data. I hope that makes sense. I mean, does that make sense, Jeff?
Oh, sorry, I was catching the echo.
Oh, headset in.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So,
No, it does. Yeah, because just because it says only 2 devs doesn't mean that that's the only uh, devs that are working on stuff. Because my brother being a software engineer, he gets a lot of tickets to work on things for their company,
mhm.
and he'll take over tasks from other people. And just because it only has his name on it, when he submits it, doesn't mean that other people haven't been working on it. And like some stuff you're going to bring up with they're hiring a bunch of people as well, not just developers, but other areas of the Plume ecosystem, the business operations and marketing and stuff like that. So they
Absolutely.
got
And
a
and
lot
and
going
since
on.
you brought it up, here is the, Plume Network's, official website, where they're hiring. So, if it was a dying project, would they be hiring people? And keep in mind, their headquarters, their office is in New York, in Manhattan, in the business district. Plume has been, and I'll show some stuff here in a minute. They're in Washington D.C. in the same room with Coinbase and a lot of these other big players. Plume's stablecoin, which I'll show the data on that. It is backed by USDC. Plume is launching on Circle's Arc, their new chain that is focused on RWAs and finance,
Hmm.
DeFi, decentralized finance, and the new financial system. So there's a bunch of connections with base network through Morpho and other things that are currently live on base. We've gone over those here in the past couple of weeks. There is a lot of stuff going on with this project. That's why it makes me very hard for me to believe, just based off of a certain couple of data points, that plus the market pulling back, RWAs in general. If you go to rwa.xyz, actually, sorry, let me finish this train of thought here. So they're hiring, their engineering team, full stack product engineer. They're hiring a protocol engineer. They're hiring a smart contract engineer. In operations, a compliance director. That's a high level position, not necessarily C suite, but high level position. The operations director would be just under the chief operating officer. So, again, a high level position. Finance and accounting manager, strategic finance and operations associate, head of digital assets. So there's active hiring going on. That means they're growing, they're expanding, not contracting. Let's see. Oh, you guys talking about the snowman? All right. So that is what I wanted to share on that. And then where was I going next, Jeff?
Just what?
I was we were talking about the hiring and stuff like that, but also there was some other data. Let me, what, I'll do this.
With Solana, right? They got
Yeah, let's go over
Solana
here.
stuff.
So right here, this is what I was talking about. Plume has joined Arc Public Testnet. Arc, built by Circle, is building
Yes.
the economic operating system for the internet. As the first RWA Fi, or RWA Finance, real world asset finance platform backed by the largest RWA community, we are bringing Nest Credit, which is already live on Plume mainnet, and it's offering Wisdom Tree, it's offering BlackRock, Black Opal, a bunch of different funds, real world asset funds. U.S. Treasuries, commodities, oil, gold, natural gas, all those different things are already live and being offered. All of this is, this isn't vaporware. This isn't, hey, we're talking to and we're thinking about, or maybe this is going to happen. This has been live for months, and I mean, I'm actually invested in a bunch of it, so I don't see this going anywhere. Because there's kind of a questionable metric of only having two developers. And he brought up, again, like I said, I'm not saying this in a way that is condescending to him at all. I'm just trying to peel back the layers so that we can fully understand the value or the weight that we should give these different data points. But this here, you got RWA TVL. So looking at this, the purple bars are, let's see, is the RWA TVL, so total value locked.
I'll switch
Oh,
tabs.
thank you. Or total value locked. And then you have the kind of aqua color, which is active daily users. So if you look, through October, the RWA TVL was going up, and then it kind of plateaued and it's dipped off a little bit. Nothing crazy, and then you look at the daily active users. It's actually increased in, towards the end of October and into November. You look at the price. The price has been going down. Give you that. The price of everything's been going down. So, to me, that doesn't carry a whole lot of weight. The whole market's been down. The whole market's beat down. So now I'm not going to put a whole lot of weight into, price go down, I'm going to get out. And then of course we have daily token trading volume is these orange bars, which it looks like here on October 6th, it spiked, was hot there for a minute. You saw the price, spiked with it. And then, it's gone down since. So that has contracted a bit, but it's at the same levels as it was before, back when the price was up here, back when the price was, at the 10-cent range. So again, not something I'm going to put a whole lot of weight in. Price on everything is down. But the trading volume is about the same. So, but let's go to here.
And also what I
Oh,
was mentioning earlier about being the holidays and
hmm,
people not being as involved in the markets, probably they're one the sentiment kind of down, and another thing, people don't have a lot of money to invest, probably taking it out to get gifts for
yeah,
people, Christmas presents, or travel and whatnot. So this is usually the time where people are trying to give gifts and use their money for other things. And yeah, I was like, wow, that's might have a big impact on viewership, and people are traveling and not really being as in the markets as they have been. So maybe around tax season, February or something, we might get more retail coming back in. And I don't know. I know that Trump has been talking about this stimulus thing that he's been kind of hinting at with using tariffs, but I don't know if that's actually going to come to fruition, or if if it does, that could be a good market boost.
oh,
But
absolutely.
yeah, who knows?
Well, let me go through some of this stuff that I found on X, from the Plume account and some other things. So, this is what I was talking about, where Circle, they launched on Circle. This is some of the data that Crypto Stevo that I just got done sharing. That there's some things that are showing the project is contracting, but again, we just went over that. This one here, Plume is bridging real world yield to Solana. So Plume now has connections with both Base Network and with Solana, the Solana network, along with Ethereum, Ethereum mainnet. So Plume has been cross chain forever. Its stablecoin is backed 1-to-1 with the USDC, so it's fully compliant with the U.S. legislation that was passed in the Genius Act, the Stablecoin Act. It's these are all things that point to, for me, towards they're making the right moves. They're aligning themselves with the right people for this project to be successful. Is it a guarantee? Absolutely not. But I am watching what is being built. I'm watching, as things scale. I'm, watching as things evolve, and I'm making sure that I am basing my decisions off of those things and not price, and not, again, a data point that could be skewed however you want it to be skewed. Obviously, the way it was presented to me is there's only two devs. There used to be 50. This project is dying. Whereas you can look at it and say, well, again, they had 50 something when they were developing their chain. There was a lot of work to do. Maybe they let some of those people go. Maybe they changed their operations right before the mainnet went live. The CTO, the chief technology officer, died. So the person that took over, maybe that person that took over changed, how things are reported. And again, maybe there's only two devs that are allowed to submit those commits. Maybe they're the QC, the quality control, to make sure that everything is legit before it goes out. There's a lot of questions
Hmm.
that to be asked of a lot of this data. And so, like I said, I try to take emotion out of it. But um yeah, so Solana, you got Glider. We did a deep dive on Glider a couple of weeks ago. It looks like that Plume is now live on GliderFi, Coinbase. It's on Base Network. So it's yet another connection. You got Morpho, you got Glider, and I forget. Do you remember, Jeff? There was one more connection. I'm wanting to say, like, oh, and Plume is about to get listed on Coinbase.
Oh yeah, Yep.
and it just got listed on what was that exchange that it just went live on?
Oh, Robinhood?
Yeah, Robinhood. It just went live, just the token just went up for sale on Robinhood. So I just don't see it. I don't see there. I see way more bullish than bearish when it comes to Plume. And again, do your own research. I could be wrong, but this is what I see. Not to mention, it freaking earns like a champ when it comes to DeFi, liquidity pools and stuff like that. I mean, I started out with $800 to build a bag of Plume. Even with it, way down like it is, I still have double my money. I have like $1,500 worth of Plume, and I started out with $800. At one point, I had like $8,000 worth of Plume. Back when it was like 15 cents and stuff like that. So if it just goes back up to where it was before, I'm hugely in profit, and it's all
Mhm.
off earning in DeFi. What say you, Jeff?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's you're essentially DCAing as the price goes down,
Yeah,
and as long as you believe in the project and it has good fundamentals and it's building and not just some meme coin that is bullshit, you know, the more you DCA, I mean, you do that with any other asset. If Bitcoin goes down 80% from its highs, it's not like, oh, well, it's fucking dead. I'm just gonna not put. If you would have put your money in from the and DCA'd your way down all throughout the bear market, even right now, you'd be sitting good on Bitcoin. So if you do that with other assets and it's using other people's money, the rewards that you get uh, from liquidity pools, providing that liquidity, offering that service, it's a no brainer because you don't have to use your own paycheck, to DCA at that point. You can just do it all. Let the market do the work for you.
oh, absolutely. And I apologize on Arena. We'll have to see if there's a way that we can get both me and Jeff, so that whenever things get quiet, it's Jeff talking, and I know you can only like see and hear me, but hopefully we can get this dialed in. I don't know, maybe you'll have to see if you can
Yeah,
like log. I don't know.
we'll do
Yeah, we'll
a
figure something
test
out.
run.
We kind of did this shoestring at the last minute.
Oh, hey, Crypto Steve, welcome, and down and down and
Yeah, yeah.
down.
No, but again, like I said, I mean, if you just got here, crypto, Stevo, I was just saying that, absolutely, you've dealt with me long enough that, yeah, I'm going to rib you, I'm going to give you a shit, but at the same time, if it's data, yeah, I'm going to dig into that data, I'm going to peel back the layers, I'm going to see what's going on, because data is only as good as the inputs. And and I won't dig back into why I kind of question the only two devs and stuff like that. If you want to see what I said, if you just got here, you can start back at the beginning later on and see what I was kind of the questions that I had as far as maybe those two devs being like a QC, quality control, to where there's other devs that submit to them, they screen it, and then they're the ones that are submitted on GitHub. I don't have a super deep, understanding of how that process works. Um, then dig into the data provided from Token Terminal. I heard it was way more than just about the devs. Yeah, but again, watch if you just got here, watch what I went over. I don't want to go over the same stuff again. But I went through and showed all the reasons why this is not a dying project. This is, I do not see the writing on the wall with, it, launching on, Solana and, Arc and, uh, all the different things that it has going on. So yeah, like I said, we just did like 15 minutes worth of, bullish alpha on, why I'm bullish on Plume. But,
Yeah, and we were in the Plume Discord earlier, and I'm working on getting a dev or somebody from the team in for an
mhm.
interview. So we'll keep you guys posted on that because that would be great to have somebody that's behind the scenes.
So one thing I will bring up. So he brought up, which everyone knows, I love RWA.xyz. And I mean, I live in this place. And so I'm going to show you some. Let's go to networks. Share this tab, share this tab. Okay, why is it not showing that tab?
Show the
What is going
tab.
on? Well, hold on. Let me remove from scene, and I will reshare.
Boom, boom, boom.
There we go. All right. So let's go down to Plume, and you can see, Plume is number 13 as far as RWAs for distributed RWA value. So this is RWA tokens using the blockchain as a distribution layer, enabling on-chain investors to subscribe, hold, and manage assets directly through their own wallets and custodians. You also have over here represented value. Represented value is the total value of RWA tokens using the blockchains as a record keeping layer, enhancing transparency, reconciliation, and operational efficiency without enabling on chain investor transfer or distribution. So if you sort it by that, you see you have Plume at number 9, and you see Ethereum at number 10. Base, you just, go on down the line. Of course, you got Canton way up here with, almost $400 billion. But RWA count, there's almost 200 RWAs. Plume is number 3 when it comes to the amount of RWAs that are tokenized on Plume mainnet. Is it, is some of this total value contracting? Absolutely. You look, in the past 30 days, it's contracted about 21%. But you look at Arbitrum, it's contracted about 17%. What's some other ones? You got 15% on Avalanche, ZK Sync 2%. You have 20% on Aptos. There's some contraction going on. That just means that some of the TVL has been sucked out. We've seen markets have contracted. A lot of people have gotten out of crypto. A lot of people have gotten out of a lot of traditional investments. You got Christmas coming. People are cashing stuff out to buy presents. It's people are doing the washes. You got the end of the tax season coming up. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things going on that you need to understand to fully understand this data, and not just take it at face value. Because I mean, there's sometimes where, I mean, like you look at BNB chain, it's up 97.85% in 30 days. So it's almost doubled in this RWA total value in the past 30 days. Does that mean it's always going to do that? No. Next month it might contract 80%. This is just in the past 30 days. So again, take it with a grain of salt. If you continually see it month over month over month where it's contracting, that might be cause for concern. When other stuff is all green and it's red, that could be cause for concern. You need to zoom out. You need to look at the entire market, not just that project. A little bit of both. What are your thoughts, Jeff?
Mm-hmm. I think it's still so early to be saying it's a dead project with everything that they've been building and the partnerships and stuff.
Mhm.
Like especially with the whole arc by Circle. They got their test net going on, and I've been farming that with our wallet. So, uh, and that was a big announcement just a few months ago. But yeah, it's still so early because like back in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, they were thinking Amazon was just real silly and not going to do anything, um, and look at it now, it's a behemoth. Even yeah, you just can't really know for sure, but going off of what they've been doing in Washington, and like you said, they have their office in the financial district in New York, so they're in the thick of it with traditional finance, and they've built guardrails into their network of like compliance and stuff already built in. So a lot of other chains don't necessarily do that. They just kind of build and then try and implement um, once things are released over time. But yeah, working with these institutions and heavy hitters is very, very important because that's what will determine uh, the robustness of the network and feeling good about compliance already being built in. Um, it's a no brainer. But yeah, of course there's going to be contractions and expansions, and as we go throughout this market cycle. But it's not just a meme coin, and they'll find ways to maneuver and adjust and pivot, and as long as we still have active users, and it's still so early, like like I was saying last week, you don't want to put your running shoes on and stuff when the race has already started.
Oh, yeah, well,
Or
the race hasn't even started yet. They're still, drafting legislation. There's, a lot of tokenization still left to do. But Crypto Stevo in the chat, has some good questions here. But yeah, absolutely. If and could, words that many people go broke to, absolutely. But a lot of the stuff that we're saying is not if and could. It is. It already is. A lot of this stuff is already live. Is there more stuff being built out? Absolutely. Could some of it not come to fruition? Absolutely. But I mean, shit. Let's go over to the actual Plume portal.
when Canton or
Yeah,
Plume.
actually, let me
Yeah.
address that real quick because that's a great question. Canton or Plume? Canton does not have anything like the Plume portal. Canton is for institutions. It has a privacy layer. It has it's a lot of that is a higher level. It's a B2B, whereas Plume is more is more not B2C. I'm drawing a brain
um,
cramp, but basically retail. Plume is for
yeah.
retail. Canton is for institutions. Is the best way for me to put it. So let's see if this is going to work. Absolutely perfect. And let me share the screen on the arena as well. All right. So let's enter the portal, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. All right. So this is the Plume portal, and this is institutional grade assets. Again, they're tokenizing stocks, they're tokenizing bonds. Here you see that they've tokenized gold. Hold on one second. Internet's being a little bit slow. Come on, you can do it. Right here, you got the incentivized Morpho lending vault. This is the connection to Morpho and base network that I was talking about. You have Glider. That's another one. Let me refresh this, see if it helps. This is that Nest, Nest Alpha Vault, where why is the internet being so freaking slow? But this is just some of the things that are on. What in the? This is like
The crapping out.
taking forever. I'm sure it's probably freaking Starlink, but
Yeah, they got both of us on
yeah.
here.
All right. Well, let's freaking cut that out. But basically, my point is, let's see if I close some of these windows. Maybe that'll help. Yeah, it's just internet's just moving too slow. But yeah, basically there is a ton of different platforms that are offering a bunch of different tokenized real world assets already. And a bunch of them that you can buy and you can loop, and there's a bunch of advanced features that you can do on here. And again, every week or two, I'm seeing another connection. I'm seeing Plume being connected in yet another way to base network. we went over it. They connected to Solana. They are already they were already connected to Ethereum, of course. So before the Plume mainnet went live, the token was on ETH mainnet. Back when those of us in the community first got into it, that's where we were earning a lot of yield, was back on Ethereum mainnet. Okay, it just came up. Let me share my screen. It was on ETH mainnet, and that's where we were earning. And then when mainnet went live, a lot of us moved over. You can still earn on ETH mainnet though, on Uniswap and things like that. So this is not things that I see in dying projects. It's I just I you don't. It's you do not see growth. You do not see hiring. You do not see it's projects that have offices in the middle of the financial district in New York. You don't see heads of these projects sitting down in Washington D.C. with legislators weekly. I mean, I just again, it's this, do your own research, but looking at the whole picture, not just cherry picked data points, because you can do that with anything. You can find any project. You can look at ETH, you can look at Bitcoin, and you can pick things that are going to paint a bearish picture or a bullish picture. It's a confirmation bias. It's seeking out information that reinforces what what you want it to be. And that's why I shun echo chambers. That's why I welcome people like Crypto Stevo and Edwood, bringing this stuff to my attention,
Mm-hmm.
because I want to know this stuff. Because yeah, I mean, could it be an indicator of the trend becoming more bearish for me? Absolutely, it happened with XRP for me. I talk about it all the time. I had 40,000 XRP, and I was hugely bullish on XRP. And then they launched RLUSD, and a bunch of other stuff happened, and it changed my whole thesis on it. And I when it pumped at $2, I sold it all, and I moved on. It's You have to be open to new information. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, and I mean, bringing this into like a traditional finance viewpoint, you have plenty of companies that are very similar. That they're it doesn't affect their growth. If you have good product and you're building, I was just thinking about Keychain, which is the RWA project building out right now, still in testnet, and a few others are escaping my mind right now. But that doesn't mean that Plume is going to go by the wayside, but it just who offers the you want the because you want the competition, and with all these partnerships and stuff, it could help boost the projects. They could come together. One could absorb the other. You just never know. Um, I mean, look at earlier today with Netflix buying up Warner Brothers and HBO Max. So over the years, you could see some of these projects, and I've kind of voiced this in the past with dying projects being absorbed or just ending. There's going to be a lot of that, and if they can position themselves in the forefront, they'll be in a better position to take on other projects and absorb those assets and just grow even
Share
larger.
the autism snowman, crypto Stevo. I don't think he saw it.
Oh, the
Yeah,
odds.
there we go. That's
Here, let
Jeff's up
me.
here at the cabin, Stevo, and
Here, I'm gonna
you,
share
you were
the.
already shared it. You just unshared it.
Yeah, I'll share the screen.
So yeah, so
There
this
we
this is outside the
go.
cabin while I was plowing the driveway with the four wheeler to make sure we don't get stuck in here. He was out there making a snowman. So yeah, that's what we've been up to up here.
Make use of my time in the snow while I'm here.
Exactly. So so yeah, let me go get back to sharing this, because I want to show you all the projects that are currently live. Again, you got Nest Credit. We can go to Nest Credit if it's gonna cooperate, and you got Blackstone. You got Mineral Vault, so you can earn 20% on this Nest Alpha. That is a fund with over 11 million, or now it's $16 million. It went up from 11 to $16 million since last time I opened this. That's growth. And you can see it is a combination of tokenized American oil and gas, payment financing, and private credit. So it's a basket of assets. And you can buy this and you can take out loans against it. You can lend, there's all kinds of different looping that you can do with it using other protocols on the Plume network. Let's go back to here. You got Rooster. That's where a lot of us are messing with liquidity pools, and we've been earning. Who was it here in the chat a minute ago? Jay. I'm keeping my Plume and earning on it, is what he says. So either he's doing that on Uniswap, on ETH mainnet, or he's doing it on Rooster or Ambient here on Plume Network. So again, something I'm definitely bullish on. Hold on. I need to get rid of this freaking Margaret with the ALX 2049 spam.
Oh man.
Let's see. Are you able to do that?
Here, I'll let me
See if you can
them
ban
out of
it.
here.
Ricky, where can I earn Plume tokens? So again, you can earn them on Rooster, using your Plume tokens in liquidity pools. You can do it on Uniswap. You can do it on Ambient. There's a bunch of different places. For a while there, my brother, he was using some larger amounts of money, but he made like $30,000 on Plume, pretty quickly. Back when we were making a couple 1,000% on it before mainnet went live. Since mainnet went live, it's kind of gone down to like 100, 200% earning, and a bunch of us have been doing that, but again, price being down and interest, not being that high, there's not a ton of volume, so fees have been down. But again, that's been across the board for a lot of DeFi, so it's not something I'm putting a ton of weight into. Again, if the rest of the market, the rest of DeFi and RWAs was on the upswing and Plume was on the downswing, that would send up some red flags for me. But yeah, I mean, look at all these different projects. Got Curve Finance, Dinero, Elixir, Katsu, but Layer Bank. There's just a bunch of Nucleus Finance. There's all of these projects are all either currently live or coming soon, but there's 230 different projects that are being built or already live. Again, for me, that's bullish. It's everything from bridges to dexes to derivatives to different ways of earning with liquidity pools. You got gaming infrastructure, launch pads, lending, marketplace, connections to other chains. You have hiring going on. It's you have the stable coin. It's just, we can go on and on and on about this, and it's just, I just don't see it being enough data to cause enough concern for me to contemplate getting out of this project. I see way more positives than negatives. I guess I'll just leave it at that. Then why are the revenue and user metrics tanking? Because it's tanking across the board. The revenues and the user metrics. There's not a lot of interest in freaking crypto right now, Steve-O. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but prices are down. People are bearish. People are pulling liquidity out of liquidity pools and DeFi. And, you go to, that's why I was kind of, giving you crap about the RWA.xyz. If you go to the market overview, it's been, pulling back. I mean, before it was nothing but parabolic up. The whole RWA market or use case has pulled back. That is why revenue is down. It's down across the board. That's why the user metrics are tanking. Oh, I actually wouldn't even say tanking because here, let's go to the networks and go to Plume.
When the hype and many other projects are doing fine, MYX and Sky are a handful. I mean, they're not specifically RWA plays, and like Vet was saying, the RWA uh,
Yeah.
area in general is having a big pullback, and it's still like you don't have a ton of assets that are readily available on there. I mean, this is a slow this area is going to be a slow grind
Oh yeah.
up
I mean, they're
because
dealing with
this
government regulation.
yeah.
They're dealing with so many different things when it comes to the tokenization of stocks and bonds and treasuries, and
Hmm.
they can only move as fast as one these companies. And if you've ever worked at a large company, they move at the speed of fuck. It's everything is a slow grind, because they have a lot of red tape. They have a lot of different people that have to check off legal and all these different things to say yes, this is compliant with U.S. regulations. Again, as this evolves, as they come out with new legislation, are they they need to keep up, the stuff that's already launched. They might need to tweak some things about those before they launch anything new, because that's the priority. The priority is the stuff that is currently, out there that they have investors invested in. They need to address the compliance of that before they address the compliance of something that's not launched yet. There's fines and fees and things like that if they, don't address those things. The stuff that's not launched, there's no legal exposure when it comes to those things. These are the things you have to think about. You can't just look at data. Can data be an indicator? Absolutely. Is it, a couple of data points outside the full scope, of everything, enough to get me to switch from bullish to bearish? With what you've offered so far, Steve-O, I'm not there yet. So I mean, again, and if you any of you out there aren't bullish on Plume, I fully support you selling and getting out. You have to do what's right for
Mhm.
you. All I'm doing here is chronicling my journey and what I'm doing. I am not telling anybody to do what I'm doing. I never have. I've always told people, we all have different risk tolerances. That's why I'm always pointing people to episode 8 in our DeFi Academy. Is you need to understand your risk tolerance. You need to understand what you are potentially willing to lose, because in any investing, you have the potential to lose it all. You need to make that decision. We're all big boys, we're all big girls. We put on our big boy pants and our big girl pants whenever we jump in these markets. You know, we're responsible for our own actions. So again, RWA holders, it's one of the few things that's green right now on Plume. The amount of RWA holders, that's users of the network. It's not up much, but it's up. It's not contracting. While everything else is contracting, it's not contracting. So again, that's users. So anyway,
Jay brings up a good point. Ellie doesn't wear pants. Just saying.
yeah, we've kind of established that in the Discord. All right, what else we got? Um, and again, making a statement like that without pointing to specific data points. You keep pointing to 2 data points. There's dozens and dozens of data points that I can point to and show bullish. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and move on. I don't want to dwell on this for too long. Um, and
Yeah,
and
Steve-O,
yeah,
I wear
guys,
shorts a lot
we've
myself.
touched on that. Don't forget the
Oh, the
Plume
Solana.
Solana
Hmm.
integration for yield, new developments, turning up. We covered that. Absolutely.
Just like Base is integrating Solana.
Exactly. That's what I'm paying attention to. what chains are integrating, what dexes and what protocols are cross chain. Aerodrome. That's why I've gotten even more bullish on Aerodrome. Is right now it's it was base only. Now Aerodrome is offering Solana pools. Here soon in Q2 of next year, we're going to have up to 10 different chains, Optimism. And, we, in episode that we did about a week or two ago, we went over like 10 different chains that is going to be on Aerodrome. It's not just going to be base anymore. And it's going to be, auto bridging, and you're going to be able to zap, like you do on VFAT. You're going to be able to zap into liquidity pools to where you can just say, hey, I want to use my Bitcoin, I want to use my USDC, but I want to enter this Sol Arrow pool. And it will just automatically do the swaps. It will automatically do any bridging necessary and just enter you into that pool. Those are the things that I'm paying attention to. Those are the projects and those are the chains that are going to last into the future. If a chain isn't being integrated into a lot of these projects like Ethereum that are the onboarding for these institutional funds and tokenized real world assets, and these DeFi platforms that are being built out, where the majority of the volume is, and the TVL like Uniswap, like Aave, Morpho is growing, exponentially. You have Coinbase. Here on the 17th, they have a bunch of upgrades that are about to come out. They got the new Base app that's about to go live that I've been messing around with. You already have Morpho, Ethereum, and Bitcoin loans being where you can take out loans on your Bitcoin and Ethereum on the main Coinbase platform, and that's facilitated through Morpho. The same is going to be said for liquidity pools, and a lot of RWAs are going to be listed on the new Aerodrome platform, and is going to be integrated into the Coinbase. So the onboarding of a lot of retail that doesn't understand how to use wallets and protocols and stuff, with a couple of clicks, they'll be able to put their liquidity to work. Those barriers to entry are being removed. These are the things I'm looking at. One or two data points is not going to change my mind on a project. There needs to be a weighted, if those two data points are, massive data points, then yeah, they might outweigh, a bunch of smaller, lighter weighted data points. But that's how I make my investing decisions. Do I pick losers? Yeah, sometimes we all do. I'm just wanting to pick more winners than losers. One of them that I've deleveraged from was Casper. I was very bullish on Casper, but the data overall made me a little less bullish. I still have a moon bag, but I've sold a bunch of it and bought more Arrow because I'm a lot more bullish on Arrow than I am on Casper. So yeah, absolutely. Jay, okay, yeah. Ellie doesn't wear pants, and Ellie says facts. Awesome. C90, what's up, brother? Thanks for the info, guys. Yeah, no, that's why we're here. Like I said, anybody that watches us knows that I keep it real, and when I'm drinking, I keep it realer.
Real.
So, I mean, that's my 2 cents. I'll stop talking for a few minutes and sip on my beverage. You give us your thoughts.
Yeah, no, and don't, like you were saying about Casper. Don't be afraid to shift into other projects that you feel more bullish on. Like that was saying earlier, whatever your risk tolerance is, if your investment thesis changes, you got to do what's right for you. And there have been times where both of us have moved into different projects that reallocated stuff. So it just all depends. You shouldn't just be married to one thing. And if you feel like you need to bail, then that's up to you. We don't want to force anyone or strong arm anyone into staying in an asset, because that's not what we're here for. We're just want to have good open conversations. And if you bring us something that might challenge that, we definitely appreciate it, and we'll dig
Absolutely.
into it.
No, absolutely. Like I said, I mean, I welcome everything that Crypto Stevo's brought to my attention, and everything that that the Deadwood brought to my attention. I hate echo chambers, but we got Jay. He says, "When in doubt, by Cardano."
Yeah.
Stevo, I think he might have short circuited a
Oh,
little bit.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and Charles, we trust. What do we got? Oh, yeah, C90. Yeah,
Oh
and
my god.
Casper, I mean, it's definitely bottomed out. Like today, it was like one of the few that was green on the hourly and on the 24 hour. Let me refresh it. Um, yeah, I mean, Casper's found a bottom. It found the freaking bottom for sure. So at a little bit above a half a cent. But I mean, at one point it was like 8 fucking cents. So, yeah, by far, Casper has been my biggest loser. It's still a great project. It's still a great tech, but you got to be real. And there's just not a whole lot of good news coming out with Casper. They're not integrating with other projects that I've seen. Not a whole lot's being launched on it. It's just, they're showing up to places and talking to people, but that just kind of feels like XRP, a whole bunch of hopium and a whole bunch of, kind of, pig lipstick on a pig. So yeah, again, I hope Casper pulls it out. I was bullish on it for a long time, but again, I just had to move on to faster horses. I see Arrow and what's being built, and I can't be more bullish on it. Um,
Nicholas Sperry, I'm drinking. What's up, vet? What are you drinking, Nicholas? C90 Bomberjay 2025. What is that? Is that a whiskey or something?
Jeff said he would stop sending nudes if I fudded Plume. Crypto Stevo says, Jay, I got the nudes. Yeah, by far, Plume is definitely better than Casper, but I mean, but they're totally different use cases. So it's kind of hard to compare them. But as far as like a more solid investment, absolutely, Plume is definitely better than Casper. Yeah, it's easy to forget about Casper. I hate to say it because I really was bullish on it for a long time. I mean, like I said, I'll be real about everything. And I was a huge buy Casper or check out Casper there for quite some time because there was a lot of really good stuff going on with it. But again, that changed. I had to change my thesis on it. What bourbon are people getting? Crypto Stevo, I might grab some Jim Beam.
Ooh. Yeah, and that Bomberjay or Bomburgers.
Burgers. I've never heard of it. I'll have to check it out. Well, let's shift this for a few minutes to just lower key. Let's go to this view. Let's go to this view where it's got the chat in there. It's nice and easy on the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
We can just just chill a little bit. Let's bring the temperature down. Let's let's make it sexy.
Make it sexy.
All right. So, got my beverage. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to talk about, Jeff? What do you want to talk about, chat?
What's everyone doing for the holidays? What's your holiday plans? Are you spending time with family? You doing any traveling? Anybody got any fun stuff that they're planning to do? Look at this guy. Let's see. Yeah, Jay, grab yourself a drink. Back the truck up on Arrow. Yeah, with Arrow. launching their new protocol with Velodrome Q2. That's going to be really nice for the token price because that's going to generate a ton of revenue. Okay, Bomber Jays is a limited release from Michter's. It's okay, no need to rush. Yeah, I've never been a big whiskey and bourbon fan. My dad was a big whiskey bourbon drinker back in the day, so um,
You hush your whore mouth.
yeah, I'm more the tequila guy. I was big on rum. Um,
Yeah, whiskey, rum, fucking all of it.
yeah, look at this guy. Look who I found. Jay's going back home for the holidays.
Nice.
Nice. Enjoy it. Yeah, C90. Holy smokes, Jeff's in the hideout. Yep. I made it up here for the weekend. And the great thing is they yesterday, um, leaving the Bay Area, they canceled my original flight and moved me to a flight that was leaving sooner, and they gave me $100 credit so for an inconvenience. So that was nice. Yeah, the true bunker. So our first in-person live stream. So
Yeah,
it's cool.
this is a special. So those of you on the arena, oh here, I I got my co-host back there. so so whenever I'm not talking, there's somebody else talking. You're not just watching me type on my camera. Um, but yeah, so we still need to figure out arena a little bit more so that we can make sure that we get both me and Jeff on the stream. We got people in the arena chat actually talking with us. So yeah, I wanted to definitely. Oh, we got
Oh hell yeah.
arena clips bought one DeFi crypto and airdrop tickets. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah,
I
what
have
are
no idea what that means. This is our first live on arena, but yeah, appreciate you. Can't go wrong with base. You can never go wrong with base. It's freaking what what's that ace of base?
Oh, Ace of Base,
Ace of base.
yeah. I saw the
I
sign.
saw the signs and it
And it
opened up
opened
my
up my
eyes.
eyes, I
I
saw.
am happy
Yep.
now.
Oh yeah, Steve-O going to my mom and dad are flying down. House in North Carolina from Pennsylvania. Dang, first time in 9 years. That's awesome.
That's sweet, Steve-O.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I mean, I got nothing but love for Steve-O because he always brings the truth, and I respect data. I respect different points of view. It's honestly it's really hard to respect somebody that isn't open to at least listening to and including if somebody presents data, you have to at least give it the respect of looking at it, peeling into it, adding it to the entire picture. Otherwise, you might as well invest off of social media posts, or just find echo chambers that are going to tell you exactly what you want to hear about whatever projects that you're invested in, and you're going to sit in them, and some of them are going to go to zero, and you're going to be the exit liquidity for other people. You have to be open to new data. You have to be open to new information. It's just you have to wire yourself that way. It's hard for a lot of people, and but yeah, I mean it's definitely something that you need to do. I highly suggest if you haven't looked into it. I know it's kind of trendy right now. I've been doing it for years, but anything to do with Stoicism, Marcus Aurelius,
Mm-hmm.
Book of Five Rings. It's basically a Japanese Stoicism. Basically, I forget the guy's name, but it was an undefeated samurai is the one that basically wrote the book. But it's all about what we're talking about. Just taking emotions out of your decisions. Being a man of action. Being a person of action, and understanding that kind of the psychology of how people are manipulated, and having discipline, over yourself, and focusing on yourself and self-improvement over, focusing on others. You know how a lot of people are always wanting to point out everything that's wrong with, everything outside of them, wherein they have plenty of things that they can be working on themselves. That's where I try to focus. I'm daily. Every morning I wake up, I try to think of ways that I can physically or mentally improve upon myself. I could care less what the rest of the world does. I live out in the middle of nowhere in a cabin. My life is awesome, no matter what the rest of the world does. So my focus is improving myself and improving my property. And that
Mhm.
just makes me a better person. If you're always focused externally and wanting to point out everything that's wrong with everybody else and what everyone else needs to fix, you're going to overlook improving yourself. And that's, to me, that's the whole reason why we're here on the earth, is to, become a better version of ourselves. So,
And try and catch yourself if you do find yourself falling into that mindset. Uh, Read the Stoicism stuff. The Tao of Seneca is another great one. Just all these philosophers and shit. And if you can train yourself to catch yourself when you're falling into that mindset, um, it can really help you bounce back. Start doing some meditation, even if it's a few minutes a day. Um, yeah, I Ching. That's a good one too, man. Um, was that one?
this is the classic
Not always
Stoic
so.
Marcus Aurelius Meditations.
Yeah,
And then I
meditations.
got Not Always So, the practicing of true spirit of Zen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but yeah, I mean, I got all these books that are sitting here, and
It's a muscle like anything else.
yeah,
You know,
and so yeah, there's a lot of times that I'm watching the morning shows and going over crypto stuff, and I'll read a lot of these books that I have, just different Buddhist and Taoism, but it's you just I don't know. That's that's what I find is gives me a much better outlook and a much more even keeled decision making process when it comes to how to navigate life, is understanding myself before focusing on anything that's external of me. My sphere of influence. I didn't coin that phrase, but I tend to focus more on things that are deeper in my sphere of influence. Like that serenity prayer that God grant me the wisdom to uh, you know the things that I should change. I forget how it actually goes, but you know what I'm talking about. You've all heard it. I was talking to Jeff about it last night. I mean, that's how we all should think more, is improve ourselves and be a better version of ourselves and lead by example and do things that improve the world around us and those in our sphere of influence and immediately around us. And if we all did that and focus less on social media and those sorts of things, um and trying to fix everything outside of our sphere of influence, because it's just a bunch of noise
mm.
rattling on about a bunch of stuff that you can't affect any change in. You're just part of the white noise of social media. It's pointless. It's wasted energy. You can go on social media and rail against the fucking world about everything that should be different.
When your immediate sphere of influence, just if you can impact a few people around you, and then those people take that and go impact others around you, it'll spread. Um, so don't think that you have to go out and change everybody or do all these things. If you can just change a few people, like I've had friends that have been able to make health changes that have really impacted their lives, and they spread that out to other people. And so I'm not just going out to their friends or their family and saying all this stuff too, but it's what you can do to impact and influence your immediate circle, and then it can spread out from there. As long as you're doing it in a healthy, ethical way and not by force.
No, but I mean, but that's the thing. It's one thing that I learned a long time ago is you're going to be able to affect change a lot more leading by example.
Hmm.
Just being a good person, working on yourself, being a good version of yourself, and doing the things that you would love to see other people doing. Whatever you're passionate about. If it's helping the homeless, if it's helping the elderly, if it's cleaning the oceans, whatever it is, you're going to inspire other people more by actions than by words. you know, I mean, hell, look on social media. People fucking rail, on each other, typing all day long. Have you ever seen anybody change their mind on social media because somebody, was freaking, screaming at them on social media? It's like, oh yeah, no, yeah, you typed in all caps. I see your point. I'm going to, change the way I live my life. It hasn't happened. Never. It's,
Yep.
it's, that is personally, and you do you, but I found a lot more peace in my life when I started living like I live now. I mean, before this, I had over a 5,000 square foot house and the wakeboard boat and, all the things that you're supposed to fucking strive for to be happy. And I was fucking miserable and sold all that, lived in a dome tent and built a cabin in the middle of nowhere. And I've never been fucking happier. It's, you need to work on yourself first before you can try it. And most of the time, the people that are running around trying to fucking change everybody are usually the ones that are most miserable in their own life. That's what I've noticed.
Hmm.
But anyway, I'll get off my
Yep.
soapbox. What say you, Jeff? Let
Yeah. No, that's the people that want to control everything and
me check on the
feel
ribs.
like they don't want to lose a sense of control. And I don't know, it's that ego. You can't let your ego overtake your life. I mean, it's good to have a little bit of ego. Like, when we were talking last night, it's good to have some ego because that gives you drive and motivation and um, a willingness to work hard and push yourself. But you can't let it be uh, the only thing that drives you because it can destroy you. And yeah, oh yeah, I know everyone out there is jealous right now. We got some ribs slow cooking for the past 5 hours. Man, it's if you could just smell the ribs that are coming from the slow cooker right now. Oh man. Yeah. Steve said I'm passionate about helping those that think XRP and ADA will make them rich.
We know,
Yeah,
Stella.
we
We
know.
know.
Doing the Lord's work.
Do the Lord's work. Where the fuck are my tongs at?
Them tong to tong tong tongs. Damn, Black Ice had a good point about the music. Playing some instrumental music that's just like soothing and stuff. There's certain frequencies and stuff that you can listen to that can help. Binaural beats, yeah, binaural beats. They'll play different frequencies in each ear, and it kind of helps. Yeah, um, calm the body and balance it. Um, yeah, first VA rifleman. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not a super fucking religious dude. I know that this is Serenity Prayer, but yeah, I definitely hang with
Yeah,
it.
but it's definitely a lot of, and that's why I say the Bible has a lot of great lessons and moral and ethical guidelines that you can pull from. Um, but whatever works for you in your life, and um, we're not shaming anybody on anything. Unless you're just so drunk off the Kool-Aid that you can't see anybody else's perspective. Be open to seeing how other people live and experience life. Oh, yeah. Got a whole 2 racks. And we're not talking about Ellie's nice racks. Nice racks. No, we love all you guys. We appreciate you letting us chilling out with us and being goofy and stuff, and
Oh,
also
well,
going back and forth on these topics and conversations, and having that back and forth is definitely good.
it's healthy.
Yeah, it's healthy.
All right.
Very healthy.
Well, shit. I mean, we've gone almost an hour and a half. We could probably wrap this up. What are your closing thoughts, man?
Yeah, keep sharing. Yeah. You got Mike's brother
That's my brother Jason.
as the special guest.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's so yeah. We're gonna have some fun tomorrow. We won't go into details, but we're gonna have some fun tomorrow.
Some snow fun. No, just don't be afraid to share your thoughts, share your information if you think it might open our eyes, because it's given us a lot to talk about with Plume, and had us in the Discord earlier trying to find people from the team to talk to and bring on the
Well,
show
Jeff
to
was trying to
interview.
get him to come on. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have a support ticket in there to talk to a mod, and we're gonna try and find someone to interview and dig into this a little more. But it's stuff like that kind of forces us to look at these things a bit deeper, and yeah, just keep bringing the alpha, even if all of us don't agree. It's good to have this information so we can discuss it all together. And yeah, dude, Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I love those National Lampoon movies, dude.
So Steve-O, I'll just say this. Please go back and watch the first part, because I go through and I show you some different ways to sort and look at data on rwa.xyz. I saw your comment. I'm just kind of chuckling at it. Dude, school me, shaking my head. The price action for Plume schools you. If you focus on price all the time, brother, I know you're smarter than that. It's I mean, you can look at Bitcoin, back in the day, and every time it pulls back during a bear cycle, you can listen to Peter Schiff. These are my closing thoughts. You can look at Peter Schiff and how he shit talks how gold has outperformed fucking Bitcoin. You can find data that's going to support whatever narrative you want. Are you bearish on Bitcoin long term? I don't watch price. Price is an emotional freaking trigger, and it is used constantly by now institutions. It used to be the market makers. Now it's institutions to manipulate the emotional masses. Price is an emotional trigger. If you focus on price and allow it to get you emotional, bearish or bullish on a project, and then you go seek out information, confirmation bias to support that emotional, decision or that emotional thought process, you're going to find it. You can find bullish and bearish data on any project. It's all about how you actively seek out that information. What is your mindset? Are you looking for truth, or are you looking for confirmation bias? That is my point. I look at the whole picture. I don't look at price at all. Should I? Probably. I should weight it more. But I've watched way too many times price action be used to FUD people out of good, solid projects. Look what happened to your beloved soul, Solana, that you love so much. When FTX, that whole FTX thing happened, it crashed down to like $20. I bought a shit ton of it.
$8 or $7. Yeah.
Even lower.
Yeah.
$8, $7.
Yeah.
Looking at that data, that price, were you fudded out of Solana? I doubt it, because you saw the bigger picture. That's my point, brother. is you have to look past price. I made a bunch of money on Sol by buying when it was in the 20s, and it went back up to like 100 and something, and I sold. I still have some Solana, and now I'm going to start using it on the base network on Aerodrome to in liquidity pools. It's freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Because honestly, I wasn't that bullish on Sol DeFi. Definitely not bullish on Cardano DeFi.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell people are thinking on that, or XRP DeFi. Don't even get me started on that. But really, Ethereum and Base are, for the most part, the only DeFi that I'm really that bullish on. But again, price for me isn't that big of a an indicator. But well, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Man, we got all kinds of people in the
I
chat.
know. Fantastic Friday, man. We got the whole crew
Hell
and then
yeah.
some.
Well, we're gonna go ahead and cut this off because I'm hungry as shit and there's ribs to freaking eat. So you got anything else for the community before we cut this off?
No, I'm finally happy to be up here and doing the live show in person. We've been doing this just over a year now, so we finally made it happen, and I'm glad we got the little technical echo issues ironed out. So I wasn't quite sure how this was going to go with both of us being in the same room talking, but we made it work, and we got a awesome crew, awesome community,
Hell
and we
yeah.
appreciate y'all so much.
And again, Crypto Stevo, thank you for bringing that information to our attention. I'm definitely, I hope, and genuinely from my heart, I'm not talking shit on you. I'm just trying to be, kind of the devil's advocate, or trying to be more, even keeled about it, and how I make my decisions. Again, everyone out there that sees this, do your own research. If there's any project, not just Plume, but any project that you're just not feeling it anymore, don't feel bad about cutting your losses. Keep a moon bag. Like if XRP, if you hear some of the stuff that I say and you look into it and you're like, you know what? Yeah. Keep a moon bag of it. I could be wrong, but there's a lot of really good projects out there that are, shaping up to be a lot faster horses. I know Arrow has made me a ton of money just off of earning, from the locks and the liquidity pools. And it's, every time that back a while ago, I sold a bunch of it into other projects because I was weighted too heavily into it. I'm already back to being way too heavily weighted into it. It's my largest holding by far, and it's because it earns so well. But anyway, I'll stop rambling. But freaking Jay, Crypto Stevo, Ellie, who else we got in here?
C90,
C90,
Black Ice.
nice. Bunch of other people. We won't scroll through them all. And then thank you to everybody in the arena. Our first stream in the arena. We got Zen Girl, IR Fan, Arena Clips, Stivenlod, ACP. I mean, a shit ton of people. We're gonna have to, figure out how to, get it to where I can get both me and my co-host on the screen and whatnot. But till next time, let's go eat some ribs, Jeff, and Veteran Crypto out.
Peace. Nom 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 nom.